So in today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys 5 houseplants that filter your aquarium. So in recent times, ever since I went to my friend Adrian's fish room, I've really gotten into growing plants in all of my aquariums. Not every single aquarium in my fish room has a plant yet, but a lot of the tanks that are out here in my actual shop have plants growing out the tops of them right now. I used to use a lot of plants inside of my aquariums to help with the process of creating a natural ecosystem to take out nitrates from my aquarium. Because when we have a fish tank, there's a whole entire process of fish creating waste, that waste breaking down into ammonia, then nitrites, then nitrates, and plants remove nitrates. So it completes this whole cycle, and it's really, really good to have plants in your system. Some plants that are really good in an aquarium for removing nitrates are epiphytes, so like anubias, java moss, things like that, which actually suck nitrates out of the water column. Other plants are a bit more of root feeders, and they don't do as good of a job, but better than any of these aquarium plants that we can have inside of the tank is actually having plants outside of the tank to suck out nitrates, and they do a much, much better job at it. So a lot of these plants are just common house plants that you can get from any big box store. I'm cultivating every single one of these right now in my tanks and have had a lot of success with it. This is not a high light environment to do this. I literally just have LED floodlights above my tanks that are 25 watts. They're just a daylight spectrum if you're going to ask. They're nothing fancy. And I normally just jam the plants right in the corner of the tank. I'll get it from the plant shop, break off all of the dirt and all that, take it out of its pot and just get the plant with the bare roots. I'll put it in with its roots sticking in the water, and that's it. It's that easy to grow these plants. I can even do it with just cuttings. I just put them in the tank, wait for them to root, and then we grow a little plant. So those are the reasons why I love using houseplants in my aquarium at the moment. It just helps a lot. Like I see a night and day difference between tanks where I have plants growing out the tops and where I don't, especially with growing out fish, things like that. And it just really makes your aquarium look alive. So I'll just start listing them off. They're not in any particular order. So number 1 on my list is going to be philodendrons. So this is a group of plants where you can pretty much grow all of these in your aquarium, but I do have a few favorites. But philodendrons are a great one. They get either really big leaves or little small leaves. They grow very similar to pothos where they can climb around. There's a bunch of different types. Specifically, my favorites right now is Philodendron New Yorker. So I grow that in a ton of aquariums and it grows really quick. It has massive fat root systems and I'm sure it sucks out a ton of nitrates. So I have a few of them hanging around. Another one that's good is Philodendron Brazil. This is a little bit more of a funky looking one and it looks to me like a caramel tart kind of thing. I don't know, I'm colorblind so it might not to you guys, but I really like the look of it. This one has smaller leaves and it's a vining one, so you can kind of grow it really similar to pothos where it's going to cling onto stuff and you can send it up stalks and all that stuff. It's a really, really good one. There's a bunch of other common philodendrons. I pretty much like them all. I can't remember what this one behind me is. Here, let me check. Well, that one doesn't have a species name on it, so I'm not entirely sure what that one is, but I'm just looking around and the amount of freaking philodendron I have in here is actually insane. I bought a big mother plant. I keep it above the checkout here in the shop and I've just been taking clippings of it, putting it in all the tanks, and man, it grows like crazy. My second favorite is definitely pothos. So pothos is another really popular aquarium plant, like everyone kind of knows about it. It grows everywhere. It's super easy to grow. My favorites are the golden pothos or neon pothos. I love marble queen pothos. I'm growing snow queen out of the top of the tank. I do like pothos a lot. There's also like common pothos, which Adrian grows a ton of, and I'm growing that a little bit in here. It's not as vigorous, in my opinion, as the Philodendron New Yorker. That just explodes in here. The pothos will grow quick, I'd say, once it gets a really good root system. A lot of mine are still developing their root systems before they turn into an absolute jungle. So I feel like that's why they're not growing as much as my philodendrons are. But pothos is a great one. It's very similar, like it just climbs up stuff and it's a really, really good one for just easy growth and like it looks really cool. So I like to use like a mix in a lot of my tanks. So I'll put like a philodendron and a pothos just growing out of the same spot. Like you'll be able to see it kind of everywhere here. So yeah, those are my favorites to use. Like I've got it growing all over the place actually. But yeah, pothos is a great plant. Pretty much any pothos I'd say would work. Like I don't think any of them are fussy. It's just the price point. You can even take cuttings of this stuff and root it and it'll just grow. It definitely needs the light. Like all these plants would definitely need your light, but yeah. Third on my list is going to be spider grass. So this stuff is the easiest to grow by far. Adrian gave me a ton of it and ever since then I haven't needed to get any more. I've actually had some of this stuff flowering in my fish room, which is really cool to see. and it's been sending out like little growths and runners and making little baby pups, and I was selling it at my market day and it was super popular. So spider grass is a really good one. I've got the variegated one, and I also have the green spider grass. It grows really, really easily. I literally just shove it in the top of my tank. It's a really good one for like creating a bush around the stem of another plant. I'll put like a spider grass, and then I'll also put like a stem of a philodendron or a pothos or something to grow out next to it, and they complement each other really well. So yeah, spider grasses are super easy. I think mondo grasses do grow, I'm not too sure, so you'd have to try that out yourself, but mondo grass would be another good one. But yeah, that's another easy one to do, and it works really well for me. Like, it filters out stuff like crazy, and it grows super easy. Another one that's really cool, which is kind of similar to this, like I'm just making this a 5 list because it looks really easy, but I'm gonna give you guys a bunch of bonus plants. But like walking iris is a really good one as well. So walking iris is like a more flat grass, it's taller, it grows like crazy in my tank, and because it's got really big leaves, it sucks out lots of nitrates. So it also does have a really cool flower when it does flower. I haven't had mine flower yet, but it will. My 4th favorite is peace lilies. So at the moment I just have your common, I think it's called spathiphyllums. I've actually got one that's about to flower in one of my big tanks in the shop, which I'll get some B-roll of. Basically you can buy like a big bunch of this stuff, and you break it up and you've got a lot of little, you know, small ones. You chuck them around in all your tanks, and it's so cool. Like, you don't want like a small plant, you definitely want like a big one because they grow a lot better. So get yourself like a big peace lily and just stick it in the top of your tank, and it does a really, really good job at sucking out nitrates, and it looks beautiful, especially once it flowers. It's so cool. They're very common. You'll see them in all sorts of like cafes, and people keep them at their receptions and stuff like that. Like, they're everywhere, but they are definitely like one of my favorites to keep here in the fish room. I guess 5th would be Monsteras. So Monsteras are another really, really good one. They're very similar to your Pothos and Philodendron. They grow the exact same kind of way. Don't maybe get like a massive Monstera because I don't really like those. They just take up a lot of room once their leaves get really big, and they kind of make the aquarium look really tiny unless they're on a huge one. But then the thing with having massive plants is they get in the way of actually using the aquarium. In my opinion, it's cooler to make a lot of little plants around a big tank, or a lot of little plants around a little tank to create depth. It looks a lot cooler than having like a massive plant. But there's mini Monsteras, which are really good. I grow those out at the top of my tanks, and my all-time favorite is the Swiss cheese plant, or the Monstera anansoni. This stuff is definitely one of my favorites. Looks so pretty. I think it's also called monkey mask, and I grow it out of a ton of the tops of my tanks. Very similar to Philodendron, Brazil, or Pothos or anything like that. It vines around, and the cool thing about it is when it gets a lot of light, the leaves get bigger, and when it's not getting a lot of light, the leaves stay small. So that's the case with a lot of plants, but this one especially. So I know I've done all 5, but I want to give like a bonus one, and another one of my favorites is Syngoniums, or Syngoniums, or whatever they are. Here in Australia, there's tons of them. I'm sure they're everywhere, but I literally just go past cafes and stuff, and if they're out in a big garden bed, I just rip them out, take them to the fish room and start growing them because they're so cool. So I've got Syngoniums in a few of my tanks. They're just a really easy one. Like, you'll see these everywhere. I just rip them out. They're so easy to grow. You stick them in a tank and they're sending down roots in a week. That's another little bonus one. There's lots of like expensive ones you can get, like variegated ones, which look amazing. And then there's just, cheap ones that you get from ripping them out of the front of the cafes. I'm not saying I'm doing that here in Brisbane. Like, don't worry, my cafe doesn't grow any Syngoniums, but I'm just talking about when I'm driving around. If I see some, I'll just pull over the side of the road, rip out a few of them. I won't just take people's plants, but I'll take, extras in someone's, like, in a council garden bed or something like that. But whatever, report money to the cops. But those are my favourite plants. Let me look around. I think I've kind of got everything that I grow in here in this list. Yeah, I think I have, genuinely. So that's everything in here. So thank you so much for watching this. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Houseplants are obviously something that I'm going to get massively into with keeping them in my tanks, and I'd love to just be cultivating these in the room, and yeah, they look really cool. So yeah. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.